Hey Kings, what's poppin'? It's me, James of Regret. In one of my recent Twitter spelunking sessions, I ran across this tweet, supposedly showing the amount of sales that PlayStation ports to PC have generated. An important note to remember is that these numbers aren't official. Steam doesn't publish sales data and leaves it to the publishers and devs instead. Sony hasn't published any official numbers apart from the 250% return on investment for Horizon's PC port earlier. All in all, take these numbers with an extreme grain of salt. And I know damn well you guys have enough salt to spare. We're practically drowning in pony salt these days. Speaking of pony salt, who else but the ponies would chime in on to complain about their precious exclusives getting ported to PC? Because God forbid other people get to play games on platforms of their own choosing, right? So without further ado, let's see why the ponies are so agitated again. So this guy says that he's managed to find the sales numbers for Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, and Death Stranding, which he claims is 1.3 million, 1.5 million, and 1.6 million respectively. The problem here is, I don't know what website this is, and I guess he couldn't put the extra effort to include the website name or a way to check out the page in the tweet or the screenshots. I can't verify these numbers to check if they're legit or doctored, and all I can do is cross-reference with Steam Spy to see if they're good. And, well, I guess it kind of is. Steam Spy's algorithms are putting sales numbers for all of these at around 1 to 2 million sales each, and okay, I can't say he made up those numbers, but the average playtimes are vastly different, so something's definitely up. Anyone who tries to claim these numbers are exact and official is either stupid or trying to manipulate you. And to answer his question, these are very good numbers, relatively speaking. Consider how little effort Sony is putting into these ports. They had extremely limited marketing, like at most 2 trailers, one for announcement and the other for release, and a few tweets talking about it. That's it. That's all they did. The biggest thing spreading word of the PC ports is word of mouth, which is extremely minimal effort compared to their marketing on console. Name recognition literally carried these PlayStation ports into millions of copies sold. That's amazing. But of course, we've got the smooth-brained Sony ponies that don't understand math trying to say that this is horrible and not worth it and that Sony should stop their porting efforts even after they bought out a dedicated porting company. Like, bitch, Rome wasn't built overnight. Microsoft didn't dominate PC sales charts without building up a good name for their PC releases first, something Sony failed to do with their PC debut. Horizon's PC port came out a big mess, while Horizon's PC port came out more than fine. Fact of the matter is that Sony jumped in half-cocked and made a not-so-good first impression. That they managed to rack up over 1 million sales despite that is a miracle in of itself. And don't get me started on them porting the mediocre Days Gone and the downright pretentious fetch quest simulator that is Death Stranding, both of which underperformed on PlayStation by Sony's own standards. Even with all of that, these Sony ponies keep yapping their mouth and moaning about losing their precious exclusives. Let's see if they have anything intelligent to say.
Crap numbers. Imagine killing the selling point of your console that make you billions for crumbs like this.
Alright, there's 2 things here I caught that I want to point out. First off, are you admitting that the only reason Sony can sell PlayStation consoles is by engaging in anti-consumer exclusivity? Like paying a dev to not release a game on the competition, or paying a dev to keep a feature or character exclusive to your platform. The same ponies would cry their throats out if Xbox did the same thing like when they bought out Bethesda. It's ridiculous, I tell you. Secondly, imagine thinking that millions of copies sold is crap. Especially millions of copies of an old game with little hype that had a rough start on PC with no additional marketing to boot. Modern products live and die by their marketing. You could have made the greatest product of all time, but if you couldn't convince people to buy your shit, you might as well have nothing. I hate repeating myself so much, but over 1 million copies each is great. Downright miraculous even. Sony ponies will literally twist everything they can get their hands on to fit their deluded narratives. Ah, would you look at that? Saltiest, I got my ass beat by Griffin and Colin Moriarty Gaming, decided to peek his concave head in this thread.
Old PS games on a platform that pirates a lot. Not impressive but expected.
Ah yes, the age-old PC gamers are all pirates narrative, usually followed by them saying Sony should never release games on PC ever again. Ignoring of course that most PC players pirate games to test it out as per this PC Gamer survey. Though quite honestly, Sony Pony should really stop using the piracy and support the devs narrative when a favorite selling point of theirs is the ability to buy used games. You know, used games that you don't buy off of the developers and as such don't give them any money. At least with PC pirates, there's a pretty big chance that the pirate will like the game and decide to buy it down the line. What are the chances of someone buying a digital copy of a game that they already own? Let's get back to the topic at hand though. Pirates aren't the real reason why the ports performed the way they did. It was all Sony's fault. Sure, they might be bringing their games to PC, but it's all low effort, low energy, and low risk. Sony aren't giving the same care and attention to the PC crowd that they gave to the console crowd. Is it so surprising then that the PC crowd responded with the same amount of care and attention? I mean, let's just recap at what Sony has given to the PC crowd recently. A messy port for an alright game, an alright port for a messy game, and an overhyped walking simulator made by an overhyped director. Honestly, ponies should be rejoicing. Sony is making millions of dollars off of a customer base that they're treating as an afterthought. They should be glad that their favorite corp can make low-effort ports and still rake in the profits, but they're too caught up in losing their exclusives to see this. In the immortal words of the big man himself, so sad. So sad indeed.
Not worthy. They devaluing PlayStation brand. I wonder why they don't see it and plan more games on PC.
It's easy money. Porting is nowhere near as expensive as developing a whole new game from scratch. Also, it's not that expensive to port it over to a different platform anyway, so why not? And it still confuses me why the PlayStation brand's value matters to you. Like, are you a stockholder? Are you a board member? Are you an investor? Given his atrocious grammatical capabilities, I'm very confident in saying no to all three of that. So why the fuck does it matter to you? Do you have nothing going for you in life that you must attach your self-esteem to the value of a brand? Damn, that is sad as fuck.
Jim Ryan should just stop this nonsense. It clearly shows PC gamers are not interested in PS games. Those who are already got the PlayStation.
PC gamers aren't interested in these PS games because they weren't marketed properly. Best we got were 2 trailers, a handful of tweets, and a banner spot on the Steam front page for a day. That's nothing compared to the slew of trailers, advertisements, banner ads, and the email marketing that these games got for their original console releases. If Sony wanted better numbers, they need better effort. Also, third-person cinematic single-player games haven't been the most popular games on PC, but more competitive games such as Souls-like sure as hell are. If Sony ever got off their fat asses and ported Bloodborne and Demon's Souls to PC, they'd probably do very well.
These numbers make sense. The user base of PC gaming isn't as large as consoles.
Man, ponies really do love pulling numbers out of their asses, don't they? PC gaming isn't as large as console. Where do you get those numbers? The Pegasus cult? Steam alone hovered around 120 million active monthly users last year, several million more than the PlayStation's 104 and the Xbox's 100. All this shows is that if Sony actually put some effort to market their ports, they could be making huge bank.
Nah, the demographic with good to high tier rigs is pretty small. If they were PS5 titles, it would be even smaller. Even less people have PCs that would run those.
Yet again, more baseless claims from delusional people. Let's take a little peek at Steam's hardware survey and, well, would you look at that? Up to 46% of Steam users rock graphics cards that are equivalent to or are unquestionably superior to a base model PS4. The base model PS4 uses a GPU that is roughly equivalent to a GTX 1060 or a Radeon 7870. The top GPU on the survey is the 1060 itself. And GPUs superior or equivalent to PS5s are irrelevant when you consider that majority of games are still going to be cross-gen for the next several years. Which means that it has to run on the PS4, which once again means that the 1060 should be able to handle it, messy ports notwithstanding. Now, this might come as an absolute shock to you ponies, but you don't have to play at the absolute best graphic settings to enjoy a game. You really don't. It's a game after all, not a movie. Gameplay is more important than visuals. Let's look around for more. Wait a minute. What's this that I found? Considering that they've not been on Steam for long, these are very good numbers.
Specifically, Days Gone has done very well. Also, relative to PS4 numbers, Death Stranding is doing quite well. What you need to understand is that games like Horizon Zero Dawn aren't the most popular on PC.
Huzzah! An actually intelligent take on this thread. I didn't think I'd see one. This guy is right on the money here. Days Gone and Death Stranding did fairly well relative to their console releases, especially considering these are their B-Team exclusives, not the A-grade Spider-Man, God of War, and Bloodborne. Again, I really wish I didn't have to repeat myself so often, but if Sony put a little more oomph in their marketing, they could have seen higher returns. It's frustrating me to no end that ponies don't realize this and need me to remind them of this every other minute. Shit, maybe Optimus Code is right and that his audience really isn't all that smart.
Pretty poor sales. The way people were hyping up the PC release of these games, you'd think each of them would be at 5 million by now. This further proves Sony won't be doing day-and-date PC releases anytime soon.
Nah, if anything, this proves that Sony should push for a day-and-date release, or at the very least as close to a day-and-date release as they feel comfy with. Like, I don't know where this guy got that hype from, but there was hardly any buzz around these ports, apart from the recognition that, yeah, they're coming to PC. A day-and-date release would help Sony save marketing costs in addition to selling on both platforms. It's a win-win. It's honestly still kind of dumb to me how Sony really just threw these ports at the PC player base and expected them to stick on name recognition alone. I mean, the numbers are alright, but they could seriously do better. I ran the math, assuming these numbers are accurate, which realistically they probably aren't, but assuming for the sake of this video that they are accurate, they've sold around 4.58 million copies in total. Now if we assume that they sold at around $40 each, which is lower than what their standard listing is, mind you, we get a whopping $183 million. That's a lot of fucking money for minimal effort. You could fund a whole new AAA game with that much money, and I'm lowballing these numbers. Like, this just goes to show how much easy money Sony is making from these ports. If they put more effort into the marketing, they'd be making loads more.
Low sales. This was a bad move. PlayStation console won't benefit from it. Jim Ryan should be fired.
Jim Ryan just figured out a good way for Sony to make easy money. $183 million is nothing to sneeze at. What sane company is going to sack the dude who just found them a spring of easy money to drink from? God, these ponies are so fucking stupid.
PC gaming is gigantic, but so are the range of games that people play there. So no, I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Oh hey, another reasonable take here. Unlike consoles, PC isn't hindered by different generations of games, meaning that the total pool of games competing for the player's money is multiple times more massive than on console. Here's an example for you. On Steam, Back 4 Blood has less concurrent players than Left 4 Dead 2, which came out in 2009, well over 10 years ago. You get that? A modern AAA title releasing in 2021 while the PS5 and the Series X are a thing has to compete with a game that came out when the 360 and the PS3 were still duking it out. This doesn't happen on consoles, but it sure as hell happens every day on PC. That's the kind of competition that Sony is up against. This is why I say Sony needs to up their effort on the PC. It's all or nothing on here, something Xbox realized very quickly and doubled down on. Now Halo, Forza, and other Microsoft titles aren't just console staples, but a cornerstone of PC gaming too. If Sony wants that kind of success on PC, they need to crank up their efforts and treat PC gamers as first-class customers just like they treat PlayStation players. And that's non-negotiable. Anyways, I think I'd rather end this video on a good take like that, so that's about it for the video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and join the Discord server if you feel like it. This is James of Regret, wishing you all good luck and Godspeed. Signing out.